What's up, Oliver and Sylvia? By now, you are about a month or so into your diet. Oliver, you're about to have a diet break. Sylvia, I'm going to be checking in with your diet. You should be approaching that 17, maybe 1,800 calories every day, getting that metabolism revved up, as well as getting more comfortable with tracking. You should also be tracking your weight right about now to account for the menstrual cycle as it's approaching the end of the month. As I've told you before, to account for water weight gained and lost, you have to average 1 week to the same week of the next month. So right here at the end of the month, that's when you should be doing that. In this video, I'm going to give a very rough overview. I mean, I'm holding it back. It's a rough edit of how we get fat, how we lose fat, and explain why there can be some difficulties and why there can be some confusions. With so many diets out there and literally millions of diet books, you'd think there was a little magic process for everybody. People are always looking for the next diet. The truth is every single diet works, and I'm going to explain why every diet works, and really it's about what's finding best for you. I find for most people it's most sustainable to let people eat the foods they enjoy while having a focus on food quality as well, but most of all, having the biggest emphasis on what matters most for fat loss, and not getting too concerned with the trees, as I call it, when I look at the forest versus the trees. The trees are like thinking that going organic, going GMO-free, cutting out all sugar are the things that are gonna make or break your diet. Those things can help a little bit, honestly. Organic and going non-GMO is going to do literally nothing for fat loss. Going sugar-free could help, but I don't think it's very sustainable. So let's get into it. I'm going to use my bat here. How we get fat and how we lose fat. The short answer is there must be a caloric imbalance in the system. Our body is a system. This is called the first law. It's a law, it's not a theory. First law of thermodynamics, also called energy conservation. This says the change in energy equals energy in, so the energy that goes into the system, minus the energy that comes out of the system. In other words, the change in fat mass equals energy consumed minus energy expended. All right, let's go over some keywords. Maintenance calories. By now you should definitely know what that means, as I had to determine that before I put either of you on a plan. But just so it's clear, this is the food consumed, the food you eat, where there is the total number of calories and food you consume where there is no fluctuation in your weight. Okay, if there's a fluctuation in your weight, say that your weight goes up, that means whatever you're eating is more than your maintenance number. And this is why I have to track weight along with calories in order to determine that. Say I tracked your weight for 2 weeks as I did and weight went down, I have to do some math to determine what your actual maintenance is, because if your weight went down, that means you were consuming less calories while you were tracking, which happens for a lot of people. Next key sort of idea is 1 pound of fat equals roughly 3,500 calories. That's a rough estimate. All right, next. In order to lose or gain roughly 1 pound a week, which is the goal for most people, 1 to 2 pounds a week. More than 1 pound is a little more difficult. You have to take your maintenance number and you have to subtract 3,500 calories a week. All right, that makes sense. Your maintenance is how many calories you consume where you're not losing or gaining any weight. In order to lose 1 pound a week, you have to decrease that number by 3,500 calories, or because we can do basic math, there's 7 days in a week, 3,500 divided by 7 equals a reduction in 500 calories per day. Sylvia, if you're only consuming 1,300 to 1,500 calories, and we stick with this little formula, which is a good rough starting point, as I already told you, you would have had to consume 1,000 calories. I could have had you do that, but then we're on a downward spiral that leads to nowhere, which I'll explain later. All right, next concepts here. And really this is gonna get a little polemical. So say someone watches this and says, Marcus, no, I've read Gary Taubes' book, Good Calories, Bad Calories, and I know that there's something special about each diet, in that case, there's something evil about carbs or insulin, which has been disproven, by the way. So I want to make it clear, the most important factor when it comes to fat loss is calories, or food quantity is more important than food quality. Now again, here I'll have people raising their torches, which is relevant today, saying, wait a minute, Marcus, you're telling me that food quality doesn't matter? That's not what I'm saying at all. However, if your only goal is to lose fat, quantity is more important than quality. If you're over consuming chicken breasts, tilapia, brown rice, organic anything, if you're over consuming any of that, you will not lose body fat. However, if you're under consuming and your whole diet was, say, ice cream, donuts, junk food, you will lose fat. And I would argue you'd actually get healthier. It's interesting, if I take an obese person and I have them lose a good amount of body fat, completely independent of how they did it, if they did it on paleo, vegan, or if they did it while eating pizza and ice cream, no matter how they did it, simply by the fact that being overweight is very bad for your health, and if I take their body fat down, just about every blood marker for health will improve, which is very interesting. So, because wording it like this can be controversial, I'd rather say total calories is more important than any single diet type. So let's get into this, because someone will yell back, Marcus, you're wrong. I lost weight on a vegan diet. I'm vegan for life. So let's get into why you would lose weight on really any diet, low carb, which is Atkins, or ketogenic, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, South Beach, any of that. So let's just go over 4 diet types. Here's diet types here, here's what you restrict, and here's the actual reason for weight loss. Vegan. You take out entire food groups with any of these diets. Vegan diet, you take out meat, dairy, and oftentimes they take out sugar. Even if it's just meat and dairy, that's a significant amount of food. The reason you lost weight is because you decreased calories. However, because typically there's a lot of dogma with vegan, they'll say the reason I lost weight is because meat is so bad for you. Meat causes cancer, and meat will make you fat. People will just throw out arbitrary reasons. Paleo. I used to give paleo lectures. I did a 100% paleo diet for a while. In fact, the paleo diet is what brought me out of a lifelong vegetarian vegan diet. I was vegan almost my whole life. Paleo, you take out dairy, sugar, all grains, right? Gluten, legumes, and typically all processed foods as well. Some of them don't do dairy. The real reason you're losing weight I'm not going to say it has nothing to do with anti-inflammation and stuff like that, but it's because your calories went down. You can say, yeah, but it's because I dropped the sugar and sugar's bad for you. That's a whole other discussion. When you drop the sugar, you drop calories. Ketogenic. A ketogenic diet is a very high-fat diet, very low carb. Typically, you can't go 0 carb, but typically 10 to, let's say, 50 grams of carbohydrate. And you also need to be relatively low protein, more moderate protein, depending on where you're starting from. Reason you lost weight, decreased calories. Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers is really a flexible diet, which is what I do in disguise as a fancy system because of the famous people that have advertising it. It's portion control, you decrease calories. The reason you lose weight on any diet, this is a fact. There's no other reason, okay? There's things that can influence you eating less, and that's a whole nother discussion. That's called the neuroregulation of appetite. Different foods can make you hungry and things like that. All that is real. But at the end of the day, you lost weight because you consumed less food compared to the energy expended.